Hi, Lisa Wilson, Human Resources Cultural Consultant and Leadership Vision Coach. It's my regular Wednesday live, and we're sticking with the theme this month of refresh and renew. And what better way to do that than to do an exercise that we call start, stop, and continue. So the idea of this is that you look at everything you're doing, and you can do this in your personal life or you can do this in your business life. If you're a leader, I suggest you involve your team in this. Take a look at everything that you're doing, what's working, what's not working, and then do an exercise of, okay, what do we need to start? So maybe one of the things that isn't working is because there's something new that you need to start doing. Maybe another thing that isn't working, you need to stop doing what you're doing and either try something new or just get rid of it completely, because sometimes we used to give out a report for some reason that we really don't need to anymore. And of course, last but not least, continue doing. So if something is working, obviously we're going to continue it. Or maybe it's partially working, we want to continue part of it and add a new piece to it. So I suggest you do this with everything in your life. So do it with your personal life, what's working in your for your health, what's not working in that way. Do it for your business as well. If you're an entrepreneur running a small business, take a look at what you're doing. We just did a couple of exercises in this. Of course, it's tax time. And every year at tax time, I'm running through all my bills for the year and trying to add everything up. For the most part, a couple of years ago, I started using QuickBooks for my business. So that piece is done. I keep it up to date once a month. And then I just realized I need to add a piece to that. So the QuickBooks part is working. But there's some other bills that don't go into QuickBooks, and I keep a spreadsheet. Well, instead of trying to do that all at once in January, which this year took me till April, instead of trying to do that all at once, I'm going to start adding it to my month end. And when I'm updating QuickBooks, I'll update the spreadsheet as well. So ideas like that. In my personal life, I've discussed many times on here. If you haven't watched any of my videos, I have gone through a medical issue where I didn't have a lot of energy. And I've learned through the last few years how to handle that. And what that looks like for me is following my diet and being careful what I do for exercise. So I used to do things like P90X and CrossFit. And if I do those things now, I burn out. And so instead of doing that, I'm back to looking at, well, what did work before, and I'll make sure that it works again. So using that time, using what's worked in the past to get back to it. Of course, we just passed Easter, so I had a few treats, because who wouldn't? And now it's time to get back to following the diet that works for me and doing the exercise in a way that works for me. We've been blessed up here with a nice long winter. While the air is getting warmer in the day, I was still able to go cross-country ski right up until this weekend. Probably I could go this week too, but I decided to leave it for this week. So things like that. What's working for you? What's not working for you? You can do it in your business. You can do it in your personal life. When I had a team, we would do exercises like this. You bring the team together and we look at everything that we're doing as a team. What's working right now? What's not working right now? And that can be a lot of different things. The first thing that comes to my mind sometimes is reports that we used to run. And it takes an outside view to go, why are we running that report? What's it needed for? And sometimes I've discovered that it was needed for something years ago that we haven't even looked at for a long time. So maybe we stop doing that report. But there's thousands of examples of this, that you may be doing things that just it was put in place for one reason, but it's not getting that result. And so now we look at it and we either tweak what we've been doing or we change it completely. But get your team involved, because they've got a different set of eyes than you do. And they can tell you, hey, we're doing this report for no reason. And you can either say, oh, no, actually, we do need that report and here's why, or and at least get those conversations going, because this is also a really good time when you do this exercise with your team, is it brings everyone back on the same page. Sometimes we've been, like I said, doing stuff for so long, but we've forgotten to tell someone new that came on why we're doing it in the first place. So it's really helpful to remind people and make sure that that's happening. So I really like doing this exercise in the spring. I do it a few times a year. January is another time that's great to do it. And like I said, one of my examples is my taxes this year, and realizing the annoyance that it is at the beginning of the year to get all of this done, and how much easier it would be if I was just doing it, taking 5 minutes to put it all together once a month instead of taking the full hour or a few hours to get it all organized at the end of the year. So little things like that. It can be bigger things, and I suggest doing it in all areas of your lives. I've spoke many times on here about all the volunteering I used to do and having to review, is this still serving me? Is it working for me? Is it taking up too much of my time? And then reviewing what I'm willing to do and not willing to do. So I have a few events coming up in the coming weeks, and I will put them all in the chat. I've got a free webinar next week, as well as a speaking engagement on with Your Holistic Earth. It's more of a wellness one. The webinar that I have coming up, hopefully you've seen in my feed already, is called Solopreneur to CEO, and walking through, for all you solopreneurs out there, taking you into hiring that first person to get help. That's one of the other things that I've been doing recently, is where I'm looking at how I'm spending my time getting help where I need to. For me, that looks like having a virtual assistant, and most recently bringing on a marketing help. And I'm going to walk through in this webinar, and there's a follow-up course that will go with it as well. If it's something that you really need, we'll walk you through each step more in depth. The webinar is only an hour. I'll give you all the information, but not a lot of time for all the teaching. So webinar is on the 28th, and I will be speaking with Your Holistic Earth on the 27th. All the links will be in the comments below. I'll put those in right now. And I would love to see you there. Always happy to help. Have an amazing rest of your week. And hopefully we'll see you in either the webinar or one of the speaking engagements soon.